paper. He's putting it up on the windshield there for a moment.
Maybe he's
like
trying
he
to
had
give us a note.
On.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to give us. Yeah, he's got a hat on there.
Yep.
And driving
a visor,
slowly.
Maybe?
And unclear. You have to get a special license to drive these, as you know, Marla. So it's unclear if this individual is licensed to drive. Regardless, right. Allegedly he's stolen this cab here, but it's unclear if he's really truly familiar with driving these. Because if you and I got in one of those, we'd be like, that's a little sketch there if you're not used to it. But he's manipulating some papers, whether or not he's trying to write something and putting up to the windshield so that we can see. I'm sure he's aware what's going on, that there's helicopters up. He sees in those big, large rear view mirrors, you see it on the passenger side there, what's happening behind him. He sees that there's no traffic. He sees that there's a lot of attention on him. This has been going on for some time. If it started in Bakersfield and now has made its way into the Santa Clarita Valley in the Newhall area, he knows what's up, and he's trying to play it the best he can at this point.
Yeah, this is it's a little deceiving if people are just joining us and you're seeing this, and he does have the open road, to your point, Rick, but behind him, he's left behind just a pretty significant backup.
Clearly, because all that traffic has been forced to slow down significantly, and that backup's building. And there's other big rigs with their trailers on it because they're coming from the breadbasket, not only of our state, but of our country. The San Joaquin Valley, the Sacramento Valley, that agribusiness that dominates that part of our Golden State there. And all of those big rigs are bringing in the produce, other goods and services as well from points north into Southern California. They're being held back, as are the motorcyclists who are just making their way from Bakersfield, Fresno, Visalia, Modesto, all those locations that dot the San Joaquin Valley and the Sacramento Valleys there into Southern California. This is that part of the 5 as we widened out. If you are familiar and you drive Interstate 5, the Grapevine, the Ridge Route, it sort of splits and intertwines as you make your way out of the Santa Clarita Valley up towards the top of the Ridge Route, the Grapevine there. We used to call it, and there still is, the Old Road. The Old Road parallels Interstate 5. We call it the Old Road there as we look. It looks like there is a sign now, right? Maybe he's trying to give us a message. It's going to be probably...
See? Is there writing?
I just see a Stenopad 8x11 white paper there. So it looks like, again, our SkyFOX crew is on it, trying to zoom in to see if we can make out what was written on that piece of paper.
I'm leaning in, along with, I'm sure, the rest of everybody watching, trying to see if in fact, he just took it away.
Yeah, he took it away there, but he's trying to get some information there. Again, we just believe it's the male suspect driving that vehicle. There is that big area in the back, as I mentioned, almost like a small living quarters behind the driver's compartment, so to speak. Unclear if there's anybody back there, but we believe that is not the case at this time. But some sort of sign. He was fidgeting with papers. Looks like he's doing it again, trying to write some little note, perhaps, to give to us, knowing that there's helicopters up above, the media ships, including SkyFOX. He's riding there. And being that he's driving slow, he's doing it in a judicious way, even though he is running from police at this time and not pulling over. By the way, if this doesn't, I always try to use these moments, Marla, as teachable moments. If you do ever encounter anything like this, and you see the erratic driving, you see the speeding, and somebody comes up behind you, you see the lights and sirens, never, ever try to be a hero. Never try to intervene. Let the officers do that. Pull over safely to the right or to the left. Give them plenty of space so that they can do their jobs and bring this to a safe conclusion. Bottom line, southbound side of the 5 coming into Santa Clarita out of the Grapevine area, an alleged stolen cab here out of the Bakersfield, Kern County area. Yeah,
lead agency is California Highway Patrol. We have this tight shot of that big rig cab, but we can assure you that there are several CHP units trailing this cab, and those officers, by the way, have tried to bring this to an end by the use of spike strips. Those attempts were unsuccessful. That happened. We saw one on our air just about 15-20 minutes ago. That was the last spike strip attempt. The driver, though, given the slow speeds of 10 to 12 miles per hour, was easily able to maneuver around those spike strips. And so here we are. We continue with this slow speed pursuit out of Kern County, now in the Santa Clarita Valley. Our extreme nav technology letting us know earlier that this is southbound 5. as we now come out of the Grapevine and into the Santa Clarita Valley, Rick.
Yeah, that's right. And as we look at the logos here, those numbers, the DOT label there as well, all of that gives us information as to this vehicle, this cab, who it belongs to. You could see the number 1721. You could see the transit logo there on the side. This is a Volvo. Yes, Volvos make cabs as well, big rig cabs there, very nice cabs there, as you could see. So we're able to look at all this information and that DOT number. If the officers, if the California Highway Patrol did not know enough information, they were able to ascertain it from that DOT number, from that sticker there, from the logo there, to who this cab belongs to that number, that 1721. That's a Volvo cab there being pursued by the California Highway Patrol, allegedly stolen. We don't know the details that led to that. All we know is that this is now coming into the greater Los Angeles area on the southbound side of the 5, the Golden State Freeway, out of the Grapevine, the Ridge Route, in towards a very busy stretch of freeways here in Southern California. But again, Marla, as we've showed you, as we've widened out, the CHP, at least on the southbound side of the 5, coming out of the Grapevine, the Ridge Route, out of the San Joaquin Valley, into the Santa Clarita Valley, they're holding traffic there, keeping that freeway open, closing off the on and off ramps there to give officers plenty of space and options to bring this to an end.
Yes, and now our extreme nav technology, there it is, southbound 5 in Newhall. And we're also trying to work to confirm, we are working to confirm, I should say, several felony warrants that this suspect might have, known as a dangerous robbery suspect. Our assignment desk is working to confirm those details. All right, we have made it to the 3 o'clock hour. We are on early. You will be watching now a special edition of the Fox 11 News at 5 o'clock, on at 3 o'clock. Why? Because of Game 5 of the World Series. First pitch just after 5 p.m. tonight, the Phillies versus Astros. So we are bringing you this special edition of the Fox 11 News at 3 o'clock. I'm Marla Tejas alongside meteorologist Rick Dickert, and we are looking live at this breaking news. The southbound 5 freeway, that is the site of, as we zoom in, SkyFOX live pictures over this allegedly stolen big rig cab out of Kern County. CHP is the lead agency on this slow, very slow speed pursuit that's now made its way into Newhall, Rick.
And now we're into the jurisdiction of the LA County Sheriff's Department, so they'll get involved. Typically, situations like this are multi-agency situations where they bring in law enforcement from those agencies. If the pursuit moves into their jurisdiction, they're on it. That's LA County. That's the Sheriff's Department in the Santa Clarita area, in towards the San Fernando Valley. That would be the LAPD. But because we are on a highway, an interstate here where this started, the California Highway Patrol, they are owning this from the San Joaquin Valley into the Santa Clarita Valley and point south. A very slow speed chase here. You can see speeds have not eclipsed 20 miles an hour yet. It's been below that. Very slow on the South 5, that grade coming down the hill into the Santa Clarita Valley. When we widened out, we saw a little bit of development, so now it is going to head into that portion of the Santa Clarita Valley, approaching the 126, that east-west thoroughfare that will take you away from, westward, away from Magic Mountain towards Ventura County there. And there will be options unless, as I suspect, that the California Highway Patrol has closed off all those on and off ramps so that this driver does not really have much in the way of options, but just to stay the course southbound side of the 5, and gives the officers, the CHP and other jurisdictions, plenty of time to get a game plan here, to get as much information as they can about the person they're pursuing, about this cab that allegedly was stolen out of the Bakersfield area, out of Kern County, and bring this to a safe ending.
So you mentioned just other options. So this is the southbound 5 approaching the north side of that crossover area, Rick, about to parallel to the north side of Castaic Lake. So that's specifically where we are now. As we now widen out, give you a much bigger picture of what is ahead.
There's
wide
the old
open,
road.
right? Wide open roadway there.
And the northbound side is the side there that does still have some traffic on it coming out of the Santa Clarita Valley up towards the top of the Tejon Pass, of the Grapevine, up towards Gorman, Sandburg, heading towards the top of the hill there, towards Kern County. But look at the southbound side, that backup's building, and a lot of big rig traffic, as I mentioned. All of those trailers, those cabs loaded with products, a lot of which is produce coming out of the breadbasket of our state, of our country. The agribusiness that dominates the San Joaquin Valley and the Sacramento Valley there. Wide open southbound side of the 5. You're going to get into a more urbanized area here of the Santa Clarita Valley, coming downhill now. The northbound side is the side that you see all the traffic there. You can see people are hitting the brakes to see, hey, what's going on there? It looks like there's a lot of police activity, a slow-moving cab there, and that cab has moved slowly below 20 miles an hour, Marla, for the last half hour or so since we first picked this pursuit up.
Yeah, and we're mentioning Kern County because that, as Rick has mentioned, that's where this pursuit began, allegedly stolen out of Bakersfield. So when you're looking at the mileage, we're close to 100 miles at this point, 100 miles that this has happened. And as far as we know, it has been a slow speed pursuit that entire time. That is a long way to go, very slowly. As we look at this now, and again, speeds about 10 miles per hour. At one point, another interesting element to this, Rick, because it's been boring, right? I mean, it's one way to describe it. It's interesting, but at the same time, there's not a lot of action down there. But there was this interesting moment where the driver looked to be potentially writing a note and putting it up
on the windshield.
On the windshield.
For us to see it. Some sort of information, trying to give us or somebody that he knows something to communicate. Unclear if he's got a workable cell phone, if it's charged up, if he's trying to call somebody, a friend, a family member. There's those officers I told you about there, Marla. You can see them. They are closing off the on and off ramps. They're preventing that cab, that driver, being pursued from getting on or off any type of on or off ramp there, so that we keep it on the 5 freeway here. And why that driver is going so slowly, we can't answer that. We don't know the mindset. Bottom line is that this individual, not in a good state, obviously. Anytime you're running from police, likely not in a good position here.
Rick,
coming up to another spike strip here, and we'll see. Now it looks like he's moving over to the right, to the left.
There's 2.
Oh, there's a couple there.
There's 3.
Oh, he's going to have to go over at least part of it, and he does.
And he gets
He had no options, no options. But those are heavy-duty tires. Even if the 2 front tires were disabled, we've seen this happen before. If you got a few on the back, you can still keep rolling, so we'll see what happens. But in that situation, all of those officers there, positioned on that off-ramp, that on-ramp there, that interchange, were able to throw, hey, one didn't work.
Right.
We got to throw them across all the lanes there. That's exactly what they did, giving the driver, the individual being pursued, no option but to drive over or stop and be taken into custody or bring this pursuit to an end.
Okay,
Bottom line, he drove over.
And there's that piece of paper again.
Yep.
There it is.
Yeah, it's just too hard.
It's too hard to see.
Yeah, with the lighting, and that's a white piece of paper. With our camera, you just can't make it out unless you had a big, thick black marker or something that we can make out the note that he's trying to convey to the media or to somebody else.
I've covered a lot of these pursuits. I'm going to ask you a question that may not, well, I'm just going to ask it. When we're dealing with these spike strips, right, are there more durable, more dangerous, thicker? You know, what I'm trying to ask is, given how thick these tires are on the big rig, do they have upgraded spike strips for moments like this, or are they all the same?
They do. There are different ranges of them. They don't have a lot of options. Most of them are pretty standard, so to speak. As are the front 2 tires there on that cab. Those tires, yeah, they're bigger than most vehicles there. But those are tires that would be more vulnerable to driving over any type of spike strip. The back wheels there, that would be a little bit more difficult to puncture and to disable. And that's the bottom line. What they're trying to do is to disable these tires so that this driver has to pull over safely, ending this safely.
Does that look like a flat?
Yeah, it looks like the front side there. Yep,
okay, so it did work.
Front passenger side looks like it could be it could be flat there.
Yep.
At least getting low for sure. But you could see the back tires there, and we call these 18-wheelers. They don't. This obviously doesn't have the trailer beyond it. But if you count every single tire, if a trailer was hitched on to that cab, there would be 18 wheels. That's why we call it an 18-wheeler. This is a Volvo cab here, a very high-end. There it goes. Wow, already off. Successful.
That was quick.
Yeah, and now literally on the rim there, and now we're going to start to see some smoke, some sparks here, at least on the passenger side. Unclear if on the driver's side that occurred as
There's
well.
Smoke. Yep.
And you could see that, and this is going to make these cabs are already not easy to drive, as I said. You need to have a special license to commandeer these vehicles. If you want to be a big rig transit driver in this country, you got to pass higher-end DMV test, so to speak, here. So they're already difficult cabs to drive. But once you take away 1, 2 tires, it's going to be even more difficult. But the driver has maintained very slow speeds here. Our extreme nav system has shown it. Speeds below 20 miles an hour. That helps out a bit. Now another piece of white paper up there trying to convey some sort of information here. Once again, unclear if this driver has a cell phone and is communicating. We're unclear how much information the California Highway Patrol, the lead agency on this pursuit that started out of Bakersfield, out of the San Joaquin Valley, out of Kern County, has on this suspect here. All we know is coming down. Here comes the sparks. Here comes the smoke. Well, southbound side of the 5 into Santa Clarita.
And we don't know the state of the other front tire.
Yeah,
because they
that's
both
true.
Got it. So
that's true.
It's hard to tell from this angle.
But look at that. Off. There's nothing. That's pure rim, at least on the passenger side, front passenger side there. And you can see the tire tread caught underneath the just on the back side of the wheel well of that passenger side.
Okay, so this is an interesting development, given that spike strip, there was 3 spike strips that were thrown out. The driver had really no choice but to drive over one of them, and the result is now running on rims, at least on the front.
There's that smoke.
Right tire, and you see the smoke, and then we're trying to see if there's any damage on the
it doesn't look like
other tire.
We're getting, and you can see SkyFOX doing such a great job up there, providing these pictures for us. The crew up there in the Grapevine, coming out of the Grapevine, out of Gorman, Templin Highway into the Santa Clarita Valley. And you can see the rocking motion. You see that, Marla, with the cab a little bit there, rocking back and forth because of the unsteadiness being that front right passenger side. But it looks like the driver's side still looking okay, perhaps slightly flattened, but that passenger side went out like a light, right? I mean, it was done. And there's the back wheels there. Those are the thicker wheels there, and unclear if they were damaged at this time. Bottom line, the driver's still able to manipulate, commandeer that vehicle, that cab, coming southbound on the side of the 5 into the busy stretch of the Golden State Freeway here. CHP holding all that traffic back, big backup building coming out of San Joaquin Valley, out of the Gorman area, out of Pyramid Lake, in towards the Santa Clarita Valley. You could see the lead units, and they're keeping a safe distance there as well.
Right.
Time is on their side. They have those on and off ramps blocked. They have the space. They're keeping everybody at a safe distance. They're trying to figure out, all right, we threw out those spike strips. We covered all lanes. The driver had to drive over them. We've disabled at least one wheel there. What's our next step?
Do they do another round of spike strips just to try to get the other one?
They have those options.
Now it looks like...
That side does look a little compromised too, right?
Yep.
And there's a little bit more smoke coming out of the back.
We should also point out for our viewers that something that you brought to our attention not long ago, but I think it's worth reiterating that our Extreme Nav technology, which updates the location, it hasn't updated in some time.
No.
So it's still southbound 5. We do know that.
Yeah, we know that this is the stretch of the 5 freeway if you're coming downhill from Pyramid Lake towards Castaic, out of Gorman. If you came up from the San Joaquin Valley, from Kern County, from Bakersfield, you're making your way south towards LA. First stop would be, look at that tire too, still just caught up under the wheel well, the back end of the wheel well. That's the front passenger side that was disabled by those spike strips that were thrown across all lanes. That driver was trying to manipulate his way around, but couldn't do it there. And you could see the rocking motion there, really unstable there.
There it goes.
And there goes the tire there. But with all those wheels, still able to move southbound on the 5 freeway. That's that split we talk about, the north and southbound sides with that diverse topography there coming up towards the Tehachapi Mountains, coming out of LA County. Many of you having transverse that stretch of the Golden State Freeway out of Southern California towards points north, towards friends and relatives, up towards Bakersfield, Fresno, Modesto, Visalia, Sacramento. That's a big stretch of a very important Golden State Freeway there that we rely upon. And that driver cannot rely upon that passenger side front wheel anymore because it's down to the rim.
And it seems like only a matter of time until this has to come to an end. You know, it does seem that the driver's front tire is also compromised. We have the other side, the passenger side, riding on a rim. And those big, you call them the 18-wheelers,
yep.
They are okay, so we'll just see how long that this driver can go. We want to re-rack and show you the spike strip attempt that did work.
And this time, the first time we saw, it was just the one strip, right, Marla?
Right,
Maybe a lane or two. He was able to make his way around. And now on this one,
three
of them.
Yeah, CHP officers outsmarted the suspect here and knew after those failed attempts earlier on.
And here it comes.
Yep.
Actually, no, that, oh yeah, there we go. And
yeah, that was the bigger picture.
Yep,
was that one.
no options, but you know what? He was like, hey, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. I'm not ready to give up, so I'm going to have to just roll the dice and roll over one of those strips and hope that some of those tires hold so that I can still manipulate this cab coming southbound on the Golden State Freeway on the southbound side of the 5 into the Santa Clarita Valley.
On the shoulder, I'm curious if there are other...
If he sees something up ahead there.
Right.
And why he's going slowly, perhaps he's trying to save fuel. Maybe he's low.
Well,
he's coasting down the hill. This is that grade coming down the hill from the top of the Tejon Pass, the Grapevine as we call it, the ridge route out of Gorman into the Santa Clarita Valley. And you can slowly coast, conserving gas there, speeds below 20 miles an hour, the entire stretch of the pursuit that we've covered here. And that's what we've seen. You can see all of those black and whites of CHP units there tracking this alleged individual allegedly stealing this cab. Bottom line, he got lit up. He didn't pull over.
Right. And that was a while ago. That was in Kern County in Bakersfield. That's where this pursuit, slow speed pursuit, originated. CHP now has been the lead agency on it. Rick, you mentioned the slow speeds, but I would trust that you couldn't go very fast when you're riding on rims anyway.
No, but even when all tires were in good working order, he was doing the same. So he hasn't really changed his game yet at all, coming southbound on the 5 freeway. And again, this is just giving officers plenty of time to figure out what they're going to do next. They like this. They like that it's not erratic. They like he's not going 80, 90 miles an hour in and out of traffic, as we've seen, endangering people, motorists who have no idea what's coming up from behind them. Giving these officers, especially geographically in this area, we're not on the 10 freeway through mid-city with multiple on and off ramps, with multiple lanes, with heavy-duty traffic. They've held all that traffic back. Everything is on their side. Southbound side of the 5, wide open here.
We're
still not much traffic.
Sorry to interrupt you, Rick. We are just a few miles from Lake Hughes Road.
Okay, so again, this is closer to the top of the hill, and again, our Extreme Nav system is not updated. It keeps saying Templin Highway there, and that was a bit confusing for me as well. But the bottom line is the southbound side of the 5 coming out of the Grapevine into the Santa Clarita Valley. Part of it, though, Marla, is because it's moving at such a slow rate of speed that they're not going over too much geography here, covering too much real estate. Okay, moving over to the right here.
But Rick, are you noticing a little smoke from the driver's side wheel?
Yeah, so maybe
we're getting some intel that wheel is also compromised and it may have come off already, so we could be on rims on both of those front tires.
And it looks like SkyFOX is positioning on the driver's side here, so we can get a better look at that. But what we are looking at is those officers from the California Highway Patrol keeping a bit of a safe distance here, giving space, trying to figure out what their next move is. They got this guy. I mean, in terms of, all right, we've disabled at least one wheel, perhaps two tires, the front 2. So now this is going to be even more challenging for this driver to maneuver, to manipulate that large cab there through traffic on the southbound side of the 5. They've closed off all the on and off ramps. south of this location, being that this pursuit is heading southbound, this pursuit of an alleged stolen cab coming out of Kern County, out of the Bakersfield area.
And our extreme nav technology has updated, so you see that there, southbound 5, Castaic, Lake Hughes Road. So, and you can see the sparks. Look at the fire.
There's fire.
The fire below.
Fire on that tire right there. Now, this is going to cause a bit of an issue as well. And you could see that rim, you know, it's difficult, but you could see that rim on the driver's side not rotating, right?
Nope.
You see that? It's not spinning. And we got fire. And those tanks, you saw that one fuel tank right there.
This is extremely dangerous.
Yeah, and more smoke coming out. So this may be the end of this, in that the driver may say, hey, he's waving now, gesturing out the window, more smoke, more fire. That tire clearly has been compromised. Fire coming up on the rim there, window down.
It's only a matter of time till he has to jump out if he wants to.
Or he's going to jeopardize his life.
Exactly.
There's no question. And if this does have to happen and end this way, not a bad location for it to happen. Castaic,
oh my goodness,
just north of the Santa Clarita Valley, a lot of fire there. And again, that fuel tank, I made mention of it on the passenger side.
He stopped.
He stopped here, so let's see what happens if he decides, hey, this is it.
He's got to get out.
Yeah, otherwise he's going to jeopardize.
He's got to get out.
Yeah, he's going to jeopardize his life here. And that fire's, yep, here he goes, getting more intense. And is he going to go on the run here? Is he going to listen to officers?
No,
it looks like he's got his hands up.
He's got his hands up.
Get away from that vehicle. Get away from that cab. That fuel tank, that diesel fuel tank could go. A male suspect being pursued out of the Bakersfield area, out of Kern County, southbound side of the 5, Castaic Lake, right before you hit the real busy area of the Golden State Freeway heading into the Santa Clarita Valley towards Magic Mountain.
Rick, I would assume that these officers are telling him to get as far away from the vehicle as possible because it could blow.
But bottom line, at least what he's doing, he is abiding by what the officers are telling him to do. Hands up here. But this is a unique situation. Typically, you don't see a big rig cab burning as these suspects give themselves up. So they're likely telling him, get away, because that thing could boom.
There it is.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
There you go. Get away from there. The officers, they're on their horns, telling him back up, back up, back up. Get into a safe area. And there it goes. That fuel tank there on the right side. Yep. As expected, that diesel fuel tank there. And now this is going to be a mess. This is going to be a big mess for motorists, because this will, even though the suspect is taken into custody, we hope and we think that it was just the driver inside that cabin. There was nobody else inside that other area. Suspect taken into custody, being put into a patrol car here. CHP bringing it to an end because, and they still have to go there with guns drawn. They still got to throw up those 4 fingers, code 4, to say all clear, even though it's not all clear.
And even though it's so dangerous.
Wow.
So now we need other emergency authorities out there. We need the fire department. We need, obviously, to your point, Rick, this isn't an easy thing to clean up.
It's going to be a SIG alert.
So this is going to be shut down, and certainly southbound. So this is happening southbound 5. This is right at basically Lake Hughes Road, as our extreme nav technology shows us. This cab catching on fire after a spike strip worked and took out first the passenger tire, then the driver tire, and then that tire stopped rotating, and then those sparks started, and then here we are.
And there are some LA County Fire. LA County Fire is the agency that handles this part of northern LA County here, coming out of the Santa Clarita Valley. There are some stations nearby, so hopefully they can come up in the opposite direction since the 5 is closed and get on scene there as quick as possible to extinguish this fire, this cab that was stolen allegedly out of the Bakersfield area, out of Kern County, and made its way up through the Grapevine, the Ridge Route, southbound side of the 5, from Sandburg to Gorman, downhill from Fraser Park into this area, coming to an end. That thick black smoke, meaning that diesel fuel is just burning there.
Do we have to worry about sparks flying to the nearby hillsides?
No question. It's cool. We had some precipitation. We don't have any red flag warnings in effect. That doesn't matter. We've seen some devastating fires, even though conditions have been like this. And that thing is just going up. That fuel tank erupted. That diesel fuel is burning thick and black there. And firefighters from the Los Angeles County Fire Department have been called out, and they're going to try to extinguish this. But the bottom line, southbound side of the 5 has been cut off coming out of Kern County, out of the top of the Tejon Pass, out of Gorman, in towards Santa Clarita and Los Angeles County. And these lanes will likely be blocked for some time.
Yes, certainly for several hours. Obviously, drivers will be turned around and for alternate routes because there was a long backup prior to this ending, this most dramatic ending of this slow speed pursuit.
Look at that.
Look at this. For those who may have just turned on your television and what is this? Well, this is the end of a slow speed big rig cab. That was a big rig cab, completely 100% engulfed in flames.
That's the diesel fuel, Marla.
Oh my gosh.
And the officers knew that. They wanted to get everybody out of, they told that driver. The driver did the right thing. The suspect did the right thing and got out of the vehicle, said, I don't want any part of that unless he was going to endanger or end his life. And thankfully, as far as we know, nobody else was inside that cab. That suspect was taken into custody, put in a patrol car, taken away. The other officers from the California Highway Patrol, the lead agency on this pursuit, pushed back. And now we're going to leave it into the hands of the Los Angeles County Fire Department, nearby stations, to arrive on scene here, put this out. But until then, all southbound lanes of the 5 freeway, that major north-south thoroughfare here through Southern California, connecting Southern California, the greater Los Angeles area with the San Joaquin Valley, the Great Central Valley, completely cut off on this Thursday afternoon. And
that suspect was taken into custody moments after exiting that cab, walked back there quickly and just, you know, didn't resist at that point and just was taken into custody. Looked like a young suspect, a young man. Yeah. I don't have any information on the suspect just yet, but our desk is working. There were reports that this suspect had several felony warrants out, known as a dangerous robbery suspect. Those facts, those details, I should say, have not been confirmed yet. We're working to get that confirmed, but this is the aftermath of that slow speed pursuit, southbound 5 right there at Lake Hughes Road. The response from CHP, you can see 1, 2, 3, 6, 7 CHP units right there. And then, of course, now we're waiting for LA County Fire to get on site to address the burning big rig. And it's the thick black smoke. That's the diesel fuel that's burning there. And you brought up a very good point, Marla, about are we worried about sparks? Are we worried about that fire? So many wildfires, vegetation fires, grass fires here in Southern California start because of this, because of car fires off the 91 through the Santa Ana River Canyon. I've covered so many of them. When we have red flag conditions, when we have explosive fire growth potential, when the Santa Ana winds are howling, the temperatures are hot, the humidity values are down into the single digits. If you get that spark, that ignition, it takes off rapidly. What you see there is the way that the smoke plume nearly horizontal there, not vertically, because of still strong, mostly northerly winds, meaning the wind is coming from the north, from the left side of your screen, towards the south, towards the right side of your screen. That smoke is blowing towards the Santa Clarita Valley there. Intense black smoke there. You could see that cab fully involved. That's diesel fuel that's burning there. Southbound side of the 5 coming into the Santa Clarita Valley. Full-on SIG alert. All lanes shut down until further notice. Still no sign of any firefighters from the Los Angeles County Fire Department. It'd be interesting to see, and we don't see this a lot, if they use a helicopter, one of their rotor crafts there, to make a water drop on this. I mean, they could, in that they know that nobody else is in there. At least they assume that everybody's out of harm's way. That'll be a quick hit. Put it out. Firefighters on the ground as well, putting water on the vegetation on the side there, because you could see with winds howling like that, any type of ember can drop. And we've seen it with Santa Ana winds, the ember intrusion, where a hot little pocket of something gets caught up under an eave of a home and catches that structure on fire. Well, this is grass. That's tinder dry grass. Even though it has been cool, it's been a cooler and wetter than average autumn here in Southern California. It's still tinder dry out there, and that could still happen. All right, so we're looking live at this burning big rig cab that allegedly stolen out of Kern County, some 100 miles away from where this all came to an end on the southbound 5 right near Lake Hughes Road. We have seen this. This was that slow speed pursuit covered, like I said, about 100 miles. The suspect here We're working to learn some more information about him, but was taken into custody. He did not resist once he had to jump out of that cab, once that spike strip did what it was supposed to do and disabled those tires, and now here we are. So we're going to wrap up our coverage here. We're going to send you off to break. On the other side, you can expect the Fox 11 pregame sports show ahead of Game 5 of the World Series. I'm Marla Tejas, along with Rick Dickert. Thanks so much for being with us.
Chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. But this